Hello everyone, welcome to Tutorials by Decade. My name is Decade, and today we're going to go over one of the most requested things I've gotten so far, which is branching dialogue. Before I begin, obviously, if you watch this video all the way through and you like it, make sure you give it the big old thumbs up. Also, don't be afraid to subscribe, as I have videos like this coming out all the time, so if you want to learn more about creating your own action RPG, make sure you subscribe so that way you get all those videos when they come out. With that out of the way, let's get into it. And the first thing we're going to do is actually describe what branching dialogue is. So, if you've ever played an RPG, a newer RPG from roughly the last 10 years, or if you've ever played visual novels, or a lot of games are starting to get into it, what branching dialogue is, it's whenever you can interact with an NPC and then you have options to respond to the NPC. And then, depending on your responses, depends on the NPC responses, so on and so forth. Some games, they just have branching dialogue for fun, just to add depth. Other games, your choices actually matter, and you can make your character good or evil, or they actually have, outcomes of the game that vary based on your interactions with the world around you. So, today we're just going to do the basics of branching dialogue. We're not actually going to have choices whenever we're done. We're going to let the code and the script do all the choices for us, but we're just getting it set up. In the next video, we're going to get more into what the choices can be for the player, how we're going to get those choices on the screen for the player, and any type of consequences or conditions the player might need in order to have other choices. So now that that explanation is out of the way, let's get into it. One of the things that we're going to do today is we are going to learn what scriptable objects are. So scriptable objects are exactly what they sound like. They are things that you can create that have scripts attached to them, but aren't like actual physical game objects. So they're not like players or anything like that. So what we're going to first do is we're going to create a folder under your scripts and NPCs, and we're going to just name this one dialogue. And then in here, we're going to create our first scriptable object by going to create. And instead of mono behavior, we're going to go down to scripting, and we're going to go to scriptable object script. We are going to name this one dialogue node. And then we are going to open up dialogue node once Unity does whatever it's got to do there. Excuse me. All right. So once you create a scriptable object, and then you open it up, Unity and C# are going to do a couple things for you. They're going to create what's called the asset menu, and the file name. We're actually going to change this to new dialogue node, and we're going to get rid of that. And then the menu name, we're going to actually do dialogue, and then dialogue node. And I'll show you what this here does in just a minute. The other thing we're going to do, because this has given me problems in the past, is we're going to put a using system.collections.generic. All right. With that out of the way, above the create asset menu, we are going to put system.serializable. And now I can actually put some things in here. So we are going to put a public string and then speaker, and that's mainly going to just help keep things organized. Then we're going to do a text area, and we'll do that 3x10 as we've done before. We'll do a public string dialog text, and then a public list dialog option. And it's going to give you an error there, but that's okay. We're going to fix that in just a second. All right, so once we got all of that in there, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the last closed bracket right here that I have highlighted. And we're actually going to hit enter twice. And we're going to put in another system.serializable. And we're going to do a public class dialog option. And then that error up here went away. And then down here, what we're going to do is we're going to do a public string option text. Oh, and I forgot to do this little guy here. So we're going to do another text area 310. Why do I keep putting a period in there? There we go. So once we have that, one more thing we need to do is public dialog node next node. All right. So once that's set up, we can save that. We can head back over into Unity once Unity's done compiling everything. Then we're going to make another scriptable object. We're going to name this one branching dialog. And then we're going to open that guy up. And then in the branching dialog, we are going to change the name of it to new branching dialog. And we're going to put this one into the same menu as the other. So dialog. No, dialog. We'll just put not branching. Branching dialog. There we go. Then all we really need to put in here is a public dialog node starting node. Then we'll save that. Once that's saved, we do have to go over to our base NPC. We do need to make some changes here. So let me take a look at my notes here. All right. So one of the first things that we need to do is where it says using branching dialog. If we did not already serialize that field, we need to serialize that. So make sure we have that done. When I was doing my test run earlier, I was going crazy because I couldn't figure out why this wasn't working right, and all because I didn't serialize this field. So make sure you do that. If that's not done, put that in there. Then we're just going to change the tooltip here to set to true if using branching dialog. That way it's just a little bit easier to understand. I do believe everything else stays the same. Make sure that these are protected. So the text bubble needs to be protected, and the bubble text needs to be protected. So if this says anything other than protected here or here, make sure they say public, or make sure they say protected. Everything else as far as the variables should be able to stay the same. Yep. All right. So now that that is out of the way, we can actually do a couple things here. Let me find it in my notes here because I have very disorganized notes. So, where it says start interaction, and it says if using branching dialog, and we just have return, and what we need to do is actually nothing here because we are going to override that, actually, yes. So ignore that. What we need to do, down here, we need to add a public virtual void trigger branching dialog, and then debug.log branching dialog triggered override in derived class. Boom. All right. Now we do need to make a change down here in NPC interaction, where it says if using branching dialog, and then return. Right above the return, we're going to put trigger branching dialog. Everything else in here should stay the same, and everything else in base NPC should stay the same. So from here, just save it. We are going to go back into Unity. And then what we're going to do is, in NPCs, we are going to right-click, create mono behavior script, and we are going to name that NPC branching dialog. Once that's done, we're going to open that script up, and we are going to first inherit from base NPC. Then for our variables, we do need to add a tooltip in here, the branching dialog. We need to serialize this field, and private branching dialog data, or data, depending on how you want to say it. We also need to add a private dialog node and call that one current node. So now we need to override the branch or trigger branching dialog. So we're going to do a public override void trigger branching dialog. We are going to get rid of the base because there was nothing in the base anyway. And we're going to do if not is interacting. We're going to do current node equals dialog data dot starting node. We're going to type in show dialog node here. It's going to give us an error. We're going to fix that in a minute. And then we're going to change is interacting to true. We're going to do else down here. So essentially, just like with the other form of dialogue, we're going to make sure we're not already interacting. And if we're not, we're going to start interacting. However, if we are already interacting, we're going to do a couple things. So this is just a placeholder, so I'm putting in placeholder right here. We are going to be changing this all in the next video, but this is just to get things going and started. So if current node dot options dot count is greater than 0, then current node equals current node dot options 0 dot next node, and then show dialog node. Again, that's going to give us an error. We're going to fix that here shortly. Else, we're going to end interaction. All right. So what's going to happen here is this is going to be automated at first. Like I said, next video, we're going to change that. When the player interacts, it's going to start the interaction. It's going to show the very first node, which I'll explain what that is here in a minute. Then we're going to go on to the next node if we're already interacting, and it's going to automatically pick option 0, which again, I'll explain what that is here in just a minute. And then it's going to keep doing option 0 until we get to the end where there's no more options, and then it'll end the interaction. Again, this little bar, or this little block, I should say, is all automated right now. That is going to change in the next video. This is, again, just to get it all set up. So, yeah. But anyway, let's get rid of this error here, and let's do a private void show dialog node. And that got rid of all the errors. And in here, if text bubble not equals null, then text bubble dot game object dot set active to true. We also need to do if bubble text not equals null, then bubble text dot text equals current node dot dialog text. Then we do need to override the an interaction here. We do need to keep the base interaction or end interaction, but we do need to make the current node equals null. That way it'll clear all of that out. All right, so once that is done, we can go back into Unity. If it needs to compile, let it compile. What we're going to do now is in dialog, we are going to create a folder. We're going to do BD for branching dialog, test, NPC. And before we go any further, let's get a test NPC out. So I'm just going to use this little guy right here. If you haven't already done it, make sure you set your pixels per unit to 16, point no filter, compression none, and then edit the sprite so that way it's right. If you don't know how to do that, then make sure you check my other videos, as we've done that a few times before. We're going to name this one again BD for branching dialog, then test NPC. We are going to put him on the player layer. We are going to give him a box collider 2D. That way the player can't run into him. Or walk over him or whatever. We're going to add another box collider 2D, make that one the trigger. And we'll make this one kind of big. There we go. And then while we're here, we're going to add the NPC branching dialog script to him. I hate how you have to be so precise with that. There we go. We'll name him Devin because I don't think we've used that before. Make sure we click using branching dialog. We got to add the text bubble. We got to add the bubble text. We got to add the player, and we'll get to the dialog data here in just a minute. But all this other stuff you don't have to mess with. So going back into our NPC scripts, and then the dialog, and then BD test NPC. In here, we're going to create one folder that says nodes. And then on the outside, we're not going to go into that folder yet. We're going to create. And here's where we did that those scriptable objects. Down here, you'll notice you have a new option called dialog. And if you click on that, you have two different things. You have branching dialog and dialog node. Here, we're going to do branching dialog, and we're going to name this one BD test NPC. You are going to have to create one of these for every single NPC. So make sure you name it whatever the NPC name is so you don't get confused. We're going to go back to the test NPC, and we are going to just drag that onto there. Once that's done, we're going to go into nodes. We're going to right click, create dialog, and we're going to do a dialog node. And we're going to do starting node. So in your starting node over here, you got some options. The speaker, again, you don't have to put anything here. This is just, I mean, we could have it set so that way like the speaker will show up in the bubble text as, you know, who's speaking. But for the most part, this is just for organizational purposes. So we're just going to put BD test NPC. And we're just going to put some dialog text in here. We'll just start with hello. And now down here where it says options, if you click the little triangle here and you get list is empty, we are going to add 3 options. Now, whenever we actually go into the next video, these will be the options that the player sees. Right now, the way we have it set up is the script will automatically pick whatever option 0 is, or should I say element 0. So whatever we put here will be whatever the script automatically picks. But for future videos from this, for the next video, we're going to have it where these options will actually pop up on the screen and the player can make that choice. So for right now, we're just going to put in here hi as the first response. We'll put a mean response here, go away. Or we'll just put the 3 little dots. Now you notice underneath each one of these it says next node. Well, this is where the branching dialog gets kind of fun, but also gets kind of confusing if you don't do it right. Each one of these is going to require a node. So for the first one, where we say hi, we'll create the node here by going to create, dialog, dialog node, and then just so we know what the response is, we'll put hi. And then for the response, how are you today? So now we'll go back to starting node, and then where the hi option is, we're just going to put that node there. Then we need to do the same thing for go away. So dialog node, go away. We'll put no need to be rude. I'll just leave. Or just leave then. There we go. We'll leave that one empty. We'll go to starting nodes and put that in there. And then for the 3 dots, we gotta go to create, dialog, node, the 3 dots, which it'll add that weird little symbol in there just because you can't really have 3 dots, but that's okay. Don't. And then there we go. So again, each one of these now you can have, oh, first we got to go to the starting node and add that in there. There we go. So as you can see how this can get like pretty complex and complicated, because now each response has its own node. Each node has more nodes, which has more nodes, which has more nodes. And there is a way that we can do this in script, but we would have to type in a ton, and I do mean a ton of if statements. So if this response happens, then this happens. But then if this response happens, then this happens. And you can spend literally hours, if not days, just scripting one conversation for one NPC. This is the best way that I've found to do it. It's still a little complicated. It can still get confusing. So, you know, as the theme for most of my videos goes, make sure you are naming things in a way that you can understand, or if you're working with a team, in a way that they can understand what each thing is. Because, as you can see, one conversation leads to 3 options, which leads to 3 options for each of these, or however many options you want. Like it can get insane. So just bear that in mind. It's a good idea to keep things organized using folders and naming things in such a way that you know. But for the 3 responses, we're not going to put any options in here because if we do, then the test won't work right. We're just going to leave it empty. We will change that for the next video. But let's go ahead and test this. So we'll walk over to that NPC, ignoring the enemy if it comes down here, which doesn't look like it is. Good. At some point, I'll add like a dash or something. This is kind of slow. But there's our NPC. New text. Why? Oh. Did I forget to do the one thing I said to do? No, using branching. Oh. So, yep, I forgot to put the starting node. So, for the BD test and NPC here, make sure you lock that. Up here, there's a little lock button. Now we can go into our nodes, take the starting node, drop that in there, unlock that. Now we can test. Oh, there's our little slime friend. Stay over there, buddy. I really should have put the NPC closer, shouldn't I? Yeah, whatever. But anyway, once we get over here, we'll be able to get in the range. There we go. Let's talk to you. Hello, how are you today? And then that's it. Again, once we get into the next video here, we'll actually have the options pop up on the screen. And from there, we can choose whatever it is we want to say and actually have a branching dialogue. So today, we were just getting it set up, which we accomplished. So with that being said, if you like this video, make sure you give it the big old thumbs up. If you want to see more and you want to learn more, make sure you subscribe, as I have videos like this coming out all the time. And as always, thank you. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.